podcast is powered by MonkeyKnifeFight.com.
Woo! We ain't clowning around on this one.
We make plays every day, yeah. We make plays every day, yeah.
Every day.
We make plays every day.
Pardon my voice. I've been making plays.
We make plays every day, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. We make plays every day.
Sunday through Sunday.
We make plays
You know what I'm talking about?
every day, yeah.
Hey.
We make plays every day, yeah.
Hey, welcome to the Real Fantasy Playmakers. I am your host, Bogart Scott Free. Pardon my voice, it's a little extra raspy this week. You know what I'm saying? We've been working hard, and when I say working hard, I mean yelling. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been getting in heated debates doing these podcasts sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But check this out, Playmakers. We took a quick hiatus, and we back with a very special one for you. You know what I'm saying? These guys right here, they ain't clowning around. You feel me? They also are familiar around these parts, you know what I'm saying, making their return to the Real Fantasy Playmakers, representing the Clown Town Sports Podcast. It's my man Joe and my man Seth. What's happening, my brothers?
Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? On this one, Playmakers, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about this crazy old QB carousel. We're going to talk about the Russel Wilson speculations and more so passive-aggressive whining, you know what I'm saying, about him, you know, being interested in being elsewhere. We're going to talk about, you know, a little bit about the Carson Wentz to Indianapolis trade. We're just going to talk about QBs in general. We'll touch a little bit on the Stafford Goff swap, you know what I mean? And we will talk about, you know, our personal favorite teams, man. We got the Niner gang in here. We got Who Dat Nation, and then we got the what do the Patriots call themselves? The Pats? I don't know. They don't have a cool
America's team.
But that's the Cowboys, man. The Cowboys already claimed that one. Either way, we got a Patriot, a Saint, and a Niner in here, and we're gonna discuss about, you know, what our teams are doing with the quarterback situation. But before we get to all that, handle this quick housekeeping. Go ahead and check me out at the GMM Network on both IG and Twitter. Go ahead and subscribe to the GMM Network on YouTube, and you can find this show, our flagship show, the Real Fantasy Playmakers Podcast, available on all streaming platforms. Spotify, give me money. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Milk and Honey TX, for all your CBD wellness and all your CBD goodness. Visit milkandhoneytx.com. And Playmakers, for all dope isms as far as every sports genre you could think of, check our latest and greatest articles out at therunboys.com. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Miles Peacock and the rest of the gang out there. Everybody doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Also be sure to subscribe to the Run Boys Fantasy Network on YouTube. That's the big dog channel. You know what I mean? We doing big things over there. Check out my brand new series called My Version's Better. We got Michael Florio coming on episode 2. Shit's going to be epic. Check us out, the Run Boys Fantasy Network. And another big announcement we want to make is we have just recently got in bed with Sports Me. You know what I'm saying? It's not quite a partnership, but we definitely working with them. You know what I'm saying? Sports Me is one hell of an app. It's like quick hitter takes. It's a battleground. It's the killing fields. Download Sports Me. There's a battle waiting for you. Check it out. Shout out to Jeff and everybody over there. You know what I'm saying? And Playmakers, you heard it at the beginning of this podcast. This joint's powered by MonkeyKnifeFight.com for all your legal daily fantasy sports prop action. Head on over to MonkeyKnifeFight.com. Download the MKF app. Use promo code GMM. We'll match your first deposit all the way up to $50. Monkey Knife Fight, give me money. Fellas, let them know where they can find you on social medias, and let them know where the podcast is at.
Yes, sir. Find us at Clowntown Sports on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the whole thing. Link in the bio to our podcast on Anchor. Check it out.
Nice. All right, fellas. Let's get right to it. This Russell Wilson thing, man. He said,
It's just, I think it's all speculation, man. I really think it's all speculation. I don't think he's going anywhere. Seth actually brought up a good point the other day in our group chat that he had this list of teams for 2 years. So he's been thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's anything really serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just he's had this list for 2 years. This is where he would go if anything, but he's not going anywhere. That's what I think.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
a little
looking at it like a power situation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they haven't. The offensive line's been kind of bad, and he's looking at like Tom Brady decided to just leave because the situation wasn't good, and he found a better one. And then there was all the talk early in the offseason about Aaron Rodgers maybe leaving for a better situation.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson sees that and thinks like, shit, if it can be better, might as well try to get something out of it.
I think this is kind of par for the course for these elder statesmen QBs, because you got to consider Russell Wilson as being an elder statesman now. He's been in the league. He's going into his his ninth year.
Ninth year, yeah.
He's going into his ninth season. So, for them to get complacent, to me, is kind of par for the course because they've been around. They know how things turn around. They know the speed of how things turn around. He thinks things are going the wrong direction. He wants out because he's not going to be around long enough to watch another rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Because he was part of one. And this is, he didn't demand a trade. He didn't even request one. He just said passive-aggressively, this is where I would go. You know what I mean? So, now, with all that said, let's just have fun with this because the likelihood of him being traded, I'm a Niner fan. Get him the fuck out of my division. You know what I mean? But the likelihood of him moving is, it's slim to none. So, but let's talk about if he did move, how, where you would see him fit well. I mean, we don't got to go into like, the schematics of what a trade would be, you know what I mean? Like, okay, just where you think he would go. Where would you want to see him?
I think he's pretty much chosen at this point. I've seen a couple of reports that the Bears would be his top choice. The question is, would he be a good fit at the Bears? I don't really know. That offense has always been just weird.
They haven't had a 4,000-yard passer.
It's even just weird because of just there's no movement. There's no actual production each year, and Trubisky actually didn't have a bad end of the year. He really did.
But it was on the back of David Montgomery. You know what I mean? They got the run game going.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So and because maybe game manager is in his arm's reach, not elite. That you don't think of Trubisky and think elite. You think, okay, hopefully he can just be a game manager at best. Because we've seen Trubisky have blow up games, you know what I mean? But like you said, how about this, bro? There hasn't ever been a 4,000-yard passer in Chicago.
Yeah, that's
true.
crazy.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
I always just assumed that Jay Cutler was going over 4,000 because Jay Cutler he's known for being a gunslinger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was in that team forever. So
yeah,
that's part of it.
Here's an interesting one though. How about Russ for Dak?
See, okay, I hear this a lot, but I'm just a stickler for I know we're speculating, but the speculation would have to be that they gotta sign him to the second franchise tag before they could deal him because he's a free agent as we stand.
Yeah, they could sign him to a long-term deal. It doesn't have to be the tag.
Could sign a trade.
But if you sign that deal, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna come with a no trade clause, and that's what Russell Wilson even has in his contract. So does Deshaun Watson. The only difference is the only way to break the no trade clause is for that QB to agree to go to that spot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Dak could sign it. I mean, obviously, he'd probably be like, trade me then, right? If they gave him a long-term deal and they were like, all right, now it's time to go. So now let's play that game. So Dak goes to Seattle, right? He has phenomenal weapons still. You know what I mean? He has Tyler Lockett. He has DK Metcalf. You know what I mean? If they don't have a running game, I would love him in fantasy and just be like, okay, now Dak's just going to throw it all over the yard. They have a secondary that gives up a ton of points, so they're going to be playing from behind a lot. I would love that for fantasy purposes. But in reality, I don't know if that makes sense. The Russ to Dallas, though, that would make sense because now you have Zeke, right? You have a way better offensive line than you had in Seattle. Even though that line in Dallas is getting older and they're injury riddled the past couple seasons, you know what I'm saying? still better than Seattle. Then you probably got to move on from Gallup then, because Gallup's set to be a free agent, and you got to pay. You're going to take on Russ's contract, which is also ridiculous because, like, why wouldn't you just give a contract to Dak then, right? But with that said, he would have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, and if you give me those two guys, and I put them on against Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, I think I like the Lockett Metcalf combo better. I'm not really an Amari Cooper guy. I know he makes plays.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not an Amari Cooper guy.
And like CeeDee Lamb, I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll be great. You know what I mean? He flashed a ton, but I think he would have just as bad as a defense on paper in Seattle that he had in Dallas. But I think it would be great for TV though, because we all get force fed these Dallas games. You know what I mean? In prime time. You know what I mean? And it's a wide open division, bro. Like, it's crazy if Russ was to go there. Like, they're winning that division.
I just look at it like if you're Dallas, then you're not going to be able to keep Dak long term, and you're Seattle, and you're not going to be able to keep Russ long term. Then how do you like maximize that? You know what I mean? Like, you'd rather get that other really good quarterback than just have him leave, and you just got to start over.
Yeah,
but it might not. I mean, if you really look at it, might not like work. I don't know, contracts or whatever. It might just not be able to work out. But I think you always got to be planning. If you're a good front office, you're always planning for like every situation if you really know what you're doing. So I think they're probably still trying to consider what they could get for their quarterback.
I think Dallas is they have a bad front office because it's really just Jerry Jones and what he wants to do, in my opinion, right? Yeah. Seattle, on the other hand, they historically, in recent history, with this regime, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, all this bunch right here, they've been a smart organization, but they haven't been hitting on the draft in like several years. Their players that they draft haven't been as impactful as, because they used to strike gold, third, fourth rounders. They're finding Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson, and you know what I mean, like Cam Chancellor. They were finding these diamonds in the rough. They just their hit rate hasn't been as great lately. So do you think like this is an organizational thing? Obviously, then, I mean, because Russ, like, okay. How about this? They also haven't really tried to beef up that O-line, like, really.
The issue with I think is honestly it's Pete Carroll. I honestly think it's Pete Carroll. They've been so good for so long. Just had to have a solid, like we said, solid base, right? Solid base. Just great defense, great offense, just solid base, and they just every year and you look at their games, they put up a horrible amount of points each game for having the amount of weapons they have in Russell Wilson. So I don't know what it is. I think it's the offensive play calling. Maybe it's the offensive line. I think Wilson would thrive in a different position. I think he would easily. That's why I think he's speculating right now because he knows he would thrive somewhere else.
That's a good point. And because, like, okay, I'll bring up something in the 2020 offseason, right? He did an interview, and he was talking about how he likes what they're doing down there in KC. He was like, I like what the Chiefs are doing. They're really throwing the ball around the yard, right? And then so kind of and then this whole let Russ cook thing became a thing. Then they come out in the beginning of the year, and he's slinging it all over the field. And I'm like, wow, they're letting Russ cook. And then their true colors came out when they were just like, all right, well, we really just want to run the ball. Because I guess the whole time they're just waiting for Chris Carson to come back healthy. You know what I mean? Because they started off the year, he was banged up. And and then the run game couldn't get going. Because then all their running backs were getting hurt. Then by this point, you're so one-dimensional with the play calling, and it's the middle of the season. They know what to expect from Russ. So now all of a sudden, Russ wasn't cooking. He was starving. You know what I mean? He was like, you know what I mean? He was like, no ingredients. Even though he has weapons, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it definitely was the play calling. And then they fired Marty Schottenheimer. Or not Marty, is it Roddy, whatever. They fired Schottenheimer.
He's gone. Yeah,
he's gone. Finito. They brought in a new guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know he comes from the Sean McVay coaching family tree. You know, he came from the Rams organization. So if he's doing anything like the Rams do, it's going to be a run-first team again. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I don't know if Russ is more frustrated with the play calling and stuff like that, or just not winning. You know what I mean? Because if you're no one's complaining if you're running the ball and none of the receivers are getting work because they're just successful running and playing defense, and you're winning and you get to championships and win.
Exactly.
No one's complaining.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't count this season as a win for him. Like, I don't think it's a successful season. Losing first round as a 3 seed is not successful. They should have easily went further. They were a really solid team. I don't know what happened. Like, they were such a all their games, like I said, are just so weirdly low scoring. Like, they depended on their defense to make certain interceptions, certain plays.
And it wasn't finna happen.
You know?
And I think, like, offense changes so fast in the NFL. I think it just passed by Pete Carroll. Like, he comes from the time, like, he's an older kind of guy. He comes from the time where your run game can be, like, your primary yardage, like, your primary scoring. That you can run the ball and be successful. At this point, you can't really just hand the ball off to your back on first and second down.
No.
And expect to really win games. And I'm not sure Pete Carroll really understands that. And if he does, then he's doing a pretty bad job of showing it. So, I think the Kansas City point you brought up is a really good one, because someone like Russell Wilson is going to sit there and look at Mahomes and think, like, well, he can do the same thing. But yeah, Mahomes is a better quarterback, but it's not by that much. Russell Wilson's a great quarterback. He's looking at those guys thinking he can do the same thing, but Pete Carroll's not really letting him.
Yeah, agreed. You know what magnifies the situation too is that picture of him, or that footage of him at the Super Bowl, where he's just watching Tom Brady do Tom Brady things, and he's just like, fuck. And then, just the look on his face, it said it all. Like, damn, I like what they're doing. You know what I mean? How come we're not doing that? You know what I mean? Like,
it's the play calling, it's the scheme, it's just and also the fact that when he said earlier that he wants to be part of the decision making, that means they're not doing a good job decision making, obviously. So he wants to be part of it. They don't take his opinion into consideration, which is bullshit, because he's such a good quarterback and he's been for 9 years. So it's really unfortunate that he's 32 now at this point.
Yeah.
And he's just coming out with these voicing concerns, and his team has been really good for a while. It's honestly, I actually feel bad for him, because he wants to win. He wants to be in a position to win, and he's just not right now.
So this is a team. Before we get on to the Saints, because I want you to tell me how the Saints should get them, right? Because I want to hear this. We'll save this last before we go on to the next topic. But
let's go.
I want to say this. I want to have a little more fun with this Russell Wilson. I say, and you said this earlier, Seth. It would be difficult for the Seattle to reset, right? Right? So what if they were going to reset, trade him to Jacksonville then, get that first overall, they go get Trevor Lawrence, and then they start over in Seattle. They get an experienced Russell Wilson.
What are they going to give up for that, though? That's the problem. Like, they have to give up a shit ton.
Yeah, they would have to give up multiple, not only the first overall this year, but probably multiple firsts. You know what I mean?
The only issue I see with it is, like, one, I'm not sure Russell Wilson wants to go play in Jacksonville. And two,
not at all. He didn't say it.
Yeah, I think they're at the point where, like, it's almost a waste for them to get Russell Wilson, because they obviously have even less than what the Seahawks have right now. So he's just going to be playing there.
They got a better offensive line.
Nowhere. Like, I think part of the point of drafting Trevor Lawrence is that, like, by the time he's starting to really get good, they're building. And by the time he, like, really hits his stride, hopefully they've drafted well, and maybe a couple free agents, want to go play with him. Unless Russell Wilson kind of goes like Tom Brady and just attracts a bunch of free agents down there. I don't really know if that works.
This is why I thought of Jacksonville, because I'm not sure what Urban Meyer is going to be as an NFL coach. So maybe
bad start for him,
right? So maybe he'll come in and be
bad
like,
start for him,
right?
Yeah, I mean, the first move is hiring a racist coach. That's horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah, and then let alone get an African American quarterback. You know what I mean? To trade for one. But
literally,
my point is, like, okay, we put all that aside, right? Because that is terrible. But just to play this game, if Russell Wilson went there, right? Urban Meyer has a quarterback who's already, like, experienced, been there. You know what I mean? Because this team, I think they're doomed regardless. Like, I don't see the first year with Trevor Lawrence being like, okay, he's basically going to have a COVID offseason, because he's not going to be able to be with the team for like 5 months. He's gonna have that shoulder surgery. You know what I mean? So, he's gonna have to I'm hoping he could build immediate chemistry with these guys down there in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? For someone, but other than that, you get a Russell Wilson. He can get right in there and get right to work. Either way, that one's unlikely, but I do have fun speculating on that. So now, Joe, how is Who Dat Nation gonna get dangerous?
I mean, I've followed so many Saints fans accounts at this point. I think it's like literally 65. It's a problem. It's a lot, and everyone is freaking out about it. Like even the mayor came out. Even Drew. I thought about this today.
Drew
Brees hasn't officially retired.
Yes, I was gonna say that. And they're like,
Drew Brees has not officially retired, and the mayor of New Orleans is saying, "Let's go, Russell, come to our town." And poor, Jesus, Drew Brees is still technically on the team right now, man. He's still under contract, so
they're the same height.
I don't really know what she was doing. That's
it'll work. Russ is the same height. You know what I
mean? True, but honestly, I would love to see it. I would really like to see it, but I don't want to give up too much. I think we have a good thing going with Winston. We signed him. I think he sat behind our team for a year, literally just sitting and watching and sitting behind Brees.
And throwing touchdowns in the playoffs.
True, and he had more touchdowns than Pat Mahomes did against the Bucs. So
I love stats like that. Okay, so how about this?
So it's just I think. I wouldn't go crazy with this because I obviously, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't want to see Russell on our team. That would be crazy. But I think the safer option is just to sign Jameis and you work around him.
I like that. I'm a Jameis Winston guy because I'm predominantly a fantasy analyst. So I just love him. I don't care about the 30 picks. Matter of fact, I get fired up when he was throwing a pick, and if it went to the house, I'm because it's whoa, now he's in the hole, and now he got now he's gonna really put up numbers for fantasy. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, I still like him. I think he just was with a bad coach. You know what I mean? Being behind Drew Brees and with Sean Payton over there. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's learned a thing or two, especially even just being in a quarterback room with Taysom Hill, where Taysom Hill's a guy who kind of had to learn how to play QB again because Sean Payton was listen, you've been doing it all wrong. You know what I mean? Right? I don't know what they taught you at BYU, but and it's just the reality of it is too is man, you got so many guys you need to sign on your defense, right?
Oh my god!
And it's
we have so much shit going on.
And you guys are already I was gonna say you're already in cap hell. Even if what is it 90 million or 60 million, something like that.
It was 95 before the season ended, so going into the off season, and I think we've already cut it down to 63. At this point.
So then when Drew Brees officially retires, what's that? That's 25 million off that.
30? Yeah, so he pretty much did retire because we already reconstructed his contract.
Okay.
So if he played next year, he would only make 1.2 mil.
Okay.
So that's literally pretty much telling me that he's unofficially retired.
Yeah.
But we still need to, we need to sign players like Marcus Williams, Trey Henderson. We need to extend Lattimore. So we have a lot of shit going on.
What about?
What I'm saying?
You guys still got Quan Alexander too, right? But he's probably gonna get cut.
Quan is he's one of my favorite Saints, honestly.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because he literally just got traded to us. But our defense is completely different with him on the field. No question.
For sure.
The problem is that he takes up $13 million cap space. So unless there's just no way we'll be able to sign.
Shout out to my Niners. We're the ones that gave him that deal that you guys are dealing with.
That's a good point. Oh, I completely forgot about that. He is honestly one of my favorites. Just watching him play and work was I'm so excited. I really want if he gets released, I'll be so upset.
Yeah, he'll probably end up with the Patriots or something like that, or the Ravens.
That would suck. I love him. He's the man. The problem is he's $13 million cap space. So, I mean, there's just no way in hell that we'll be able to sign both Quan, Marcus Williams, and Henderson on the defense. So we have to pick and choose. It's just going to be interesting. And then with this whole fucking Wilson shit, good luck, Mickey. Good luck.
I know, man. And what's crazy too is when Wilson goes there, or say if Wilson did land in the Saints and they made it happen somehow. You know what I mean? You're going to start losing pieces on that line. You won't be able to sign back eventually. And you might just end your interior line already has problems to me. Like there's issues in the inside. You know what I mean? So
You are correct.
right. So imagine like now at least you have a Russell Wilson who could roll out or something or scramble, but still it's like it's really Drew Brees who made that line phenomenal because he had such a quick release that like the pressure was coming through, the ball's already out. You know what I mean? So
Our first round pick almost killed Drew Brees this year. He was Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. We transformed him into a left guard, and he almost killed Brees. He was the guy that let the guy San Francisco, your boy, Francisco, fall on Brees and break his ribs.
Just broke his whole
and he
shit.
Was he was a liability all year. I'm honestly one of the worst draft picks in Saints history as of right now. Like
It's a little
horrible.
early for that.
Oh my god,
That's harsh,
Don't you
man.
think it's a little early for
He
that?
was horrible. Horrible.
You just said they changed his position. Like, I don't know, give him another year.
Center to left guard. I mean, you should be able to do that. Like, you should be able to do that. It's not that big.
You
Not that big
know,
of a move.
yeah, I was gonna say the guards and centers. That's more common. It's when you get thrown out from like guard to tackle is when it's
Yeah,
like
no.
it gets
He was
difficult,
center
yeah.
to left guard, and he went in the draft saying he could play left guard. So that's why we drafted him. And then he was an absolute and utter
It
liability.
came
Like,
time
I
to
want
play
Russell
left
Field.
guard, and he was like, "Sorry,
Oh, he
Drew
pisses me
Brees."
off.
They just believed him too. He's like, I can play left guard. And they said,
Literally,
all right, good for
center,
us. Let's go.
center / left guard. Because we already have a center who's actually pretty good. Eric McCoy is really good, actually. I like Eric McCoy. We drafted him 2 years ago. So he's good. But Cesar is a problem. And Andrews Pete is also a problem. He's not that good, and we overpaid the hell out of him. But our tackles are great. Armstead and Ramczyk, two great, unbelievable tackles. Like, just solid.
Yeah, top of the league for sure.
Top of the league guys.
Yeah.
But if we can just get the interior line a little better, then Russell will thrive. But
Okay, so how you touched on it a little bit. You said Jameis, right? Because I was gonna ask you, man. So with the QBs that are existing in the world without Drew Brees, so you prefer Jameis?
I do prefer Jameis.
I'm with you. Because you know,
I do.
and you know Taysom Hill will still have his role. Because Taysom Hill, first of all, if it's not Jameis, they got Taysom Hill's important because he's so cheap. You know what I mean?
Yep.
For being a QB, so then they'd be able to be able to pay Lattimore and Williams and etc. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
so and because it's like Jameis, is there a market? What if Big Ben? Well, Big Ben said he's coming back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but what if New England comes? What if New England comes knocking on for Jameis or anybody
That's,
else? Like,
that's literally what I was saying. No, I was saying that earlier. Like,
They won't.
Bill
It'll be too
Belichick-
expensive. They
Bill
won't do
Belichick
it.
in like the latest hour could make a run, but the Pats have plenty of cap space, so it's like
Yeah.
we don't.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
because
I
what,
get it, but
what would
he
he
has,
really
like-
want? Like
He
what?
has some kind of like moral objection to paying actual market value for a good quarterback.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
some like weird.
That's why he
like,
ends up with a name brand Cam Newton for cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Because
like a weird.
if Cam wasn't coming off that injury and wasn't cut, they wouldn't trade for him, and they would get
No,
him for cheap
absolutely.
because he had to prove himself that he's healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Jameis Winston's gonna want and honestly deserve he's gonna get paid a pretty good amount of money, and he's
I
gonna
think he's going to
really
take a team
earn
friendly.
it. Yeah,
I think he's going to take a team friendly. I think
well, if he goes to the Saints, he'll take a team friendly deal. But if someone,
I get
there's a
it.
bunch of teams that need quarterback, he can get himself,
I was
pretty
worried about
big
the Colts.
payday.
I was worried about the Colts because if they didn't trade for Wentz, I think they would have made a big run for
I would,
Jameis. So
I
that's
would watch
big.
out for the Bears too. I'd watch out for the Bears.
Watch out for the Bears, but they got Foles and Trubisky. Their own stuff going on over there.
I
think
actually-
it's us, and I still think Belichick might make a move for him. So I don't know.
I hope so, man. Yeah, you know what? You want to know what else is funny is I like Belichick, like you said. So we'll go on to your team, Seth. So
All right.
as far as the evil the emperor goes, right? For his evil empire, you know what I'm saying? He's never wanting to pay his apprentice too much bread. Like Brady always took team friendly deals. You had Cam Newton basically for free. What about a guy like a Gardner Minshew? Because Gardner Minshew, he is today's NFL quarterback. Like he's mobile, you know what I mean? He has a decent arm, you know what I mean? But they would be able to use that same playbook they did that McDaniels used with Tebow. McDaniels used it with Cam Newton. He'd be able to use the same playbook with a Gardner Minshew type. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about Gardner Minshew, to be honest, but I do really like it. I think he's pretty good, and it's just kind of just how the league works, that they got the first pick, and so now they're going to draft his replacement.
Right?
So yeah, I do like that. I've been thinking about Jacoby Brissett though.
Okay.
Because
he is like a prototype of today's NFL. He's a mobile QB. He's kind of like a poor man's Cam Newton.
Yeah, and he was there before. You know, they won.
Exactly.
The one game he started, he played like they didn't really have him.
He destroyed the Texans. He destroyed the Texans. That Thursday nighter, prime time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and he started for 2 whole years with the Colts and was like, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And basically all the really good quarterbacks are taken up. I think Garoppolo's staying there, you know, with the Niners.
I was just going to go there.
There's really not a great option left out there unless they're going to draft someone. So I think it's Jacoby Brissett. If Cam Newton's back, I'm going to hate it. That's the worst case scenario is Cam Newton.
Yeah. Man, I'm afraid to get on to my team. Because I definitely want to trade Jimmy to anywhere. Because if we're trading him, that means we have an upgrade in mind. Or like a project that we feel has higher upside. Like a younger QB. Like, I'm hoping we make a move to draft one. You know what I'm saying? I'm also hoping, you know what I mean? Like, say if we were to trade away Jimmy, please don't let it be for somehow, some way we end up with Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? Even though I like Darnold. Like, I think he has high upside. I want someone, like, you know what it is? I just want Watson, bro. Somehow, because other than that, I'll just keep Jimmy. Like, I mean, there was like Kirk Cousins rumors going around. I would have loved that. I wanted Kirk Cousins before we traded for Jimmy.
Oh, I hate Kirk.
Because Cousins, he was
beat you in the playoffs twice.
But
I think he's not a good
once. Sorry,
he was drafted by Kyle Shanahan to the Redskins, though, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So that was their guy, but the owner wanted RG3 that year, so they drafted both of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like, because Kyle Shanahan's arrogant. Like, his confidence in his coaching, rightfully so. But it's borderline arrogant because I know he feels he could win with anybody. You know what I mean? That's why he's like, let's get Jimmy, not Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
So what are your thoughts? Are you not a Jimmy G guy?
No, I'm fine with Jimmy. I just know if we move on, it's either going to be an upgrade in Shanahan's eyes or a high upside project. Like, say we somehow make a move for a Zach Wilson in the draft. Or, like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, that's why we're moving on from Jimmy because we have this high upside project that he's going to work on. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, Shanahan's arrogant. You know what I mean? Like, I would love Jameis. How about that? I would love Dak Prescott. I mean, we wouldn't pay him like that, but I'm just saying, you know, because one thing about my Niners, we don't got too much money neither. We got like $20 million. If we move on from Jimmy, all of a sudden we will have more money. But how about this? I wanted Stafford. When that Stafford, you know, things
that would have been a great fit.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, like, look at Sean McVay. He's a Shanahan disciple. You know what I mean? He learned from Kyle Shanahan. He heard, oh, shit, they want Matthew Stafford? You fuck that. I'm getting them. You know what I mean? But the Watson thing's not going to happen for my Niners. You know what I mean? But as we were speculating, I just wanted to throw that out there. Because if we come back with Jimmy, I'm not mad. Jimmy is, like, just better. He's, like, a notch above game manager. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's 2 years removed from throwing for, like, 3,900, you know, 20, over 27 touchdowns. I think it was, like, 28 or 29. You know what I mean? 10 picks. You know, that's better than the game manager. 2019, we were one of the highest scoring offenses, but it was also because our run game. So that also goes along with why Shanahan's kind of arrogant. He knows his system, that zone run scheme, it helps quarterbacks phenomenally. A lot of pre-snap motions. You know what I'm saying? Like, every play we have a pre-snap motion, basically. You know what I mean? Every single play. You know what I mean? Because that indicates what the defense is trying to do. Helps quarterback. You know what I mean? So you also got to be a little smart to run the system. And that's where it comes in with Jimmy, because I think Jimmy's an idiot. Right? I think he's got this far in life on looks alone. You know what I mean? Like, he was probably failing English, but she was hot enough. He was just banging an English teacher. You know what I mean? Like, Jimmy I feel like he got through life by looks alone. And all jokes aside, he's just not the type of guy I feel that'll win me a game.
He's not good. If we're playing from behind, he's not winning me that game.
He's not good. Yes,
I don't know.
thank you.
Aren't they like 27-9 when he starts or something like that?
Yeah, because guess what? He's
Like,
really good at handing off the ball.
winning you games. Like he's not the reason you win games.
Yeah,
but
I
he's
was about to
certainly
say,
not the
it's a
reason
team.
you lose games.
That's true, but when it counts, the big game, the Super Bowl,
Yeah, he will
and
win the games when
you're
it counts,
overthrowing a wide open Manny Sanders. That's why you consider.
It's true.
That's why you have these conversations.
It's true.
Yeah.
Hey, say what you want about Drew Brees' arm strike, but he'll never overthrow Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, he's underthrown by 10
Well, because
yards.
he's going to be throwing like 5 yards away from him because that's all Drew Brees could do by this time.
How can you even begin to like compare that, bro?
As I said, hey, say what you want about him, but it would never overthrow him.
Yeah, he'd underthrow it. It's the same problem. What does it matter?
Similar issues, but we'll work on it.
Issues are issues nonetheless.
Issues are issues.
Yeah, I know issues are an issue for real. Okay,
We have plenty of them.
so now let's
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about these rookie QBs. I mean we don't really got to touch on Lawrence too much. We pretty much got him going, to Jacksonville. Is there a spot that any of these other QBs you want to see them land?
Let's talk about Mac Jones for a second, because
Okay.
Seth is not a Mac Jones guy. Seth does not like Mac Jones. Seth thinks that Mac Jones will not be good in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got something real quick. Matt Jones, it's literally 3 days. I'm a Matt Jones guy now. 3 days ago, I was like, Matt Jones come from Alabama. Look at the motherfucking, look at Tua. Look at Jalen Hurts. Like, these guys haven't really translated yet in the NFL. I'm starting to believe the jury's still out on these Alabama quarterbacks. And, like, it's Mac Jones to me doesn't strike me as anything different. But then I started thinking, wait a second. Yeah, he tore it up, and they're in a good system. Like, oh, maybe it's Alabama and this, but it's an NFL type team. He played under Steve Sarkisian. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He coached in the NFL. You know what I mean? This is an NFL style offense. So I got to thinking like, dang, he might land somewhere and actually be successful. And it wouldn't surprise me if New England looked at him.
I think that's what I was saying too. I think that New England could grab him late round. I think he's going to drop. I also think that he's going to drop lower than people think. Everyone says he's going to be top 15. I think he's going to drop in mid 20s.
But we talked about that on our podcast. The last one we put up was about this, and we had that same conversation. I think it's ridiculous that he's not. The Patriots are at 14 or 15, I think.
I think the Pats definitely grab him at 14.
He's not getting past there. There's so many teams that need quarterback. He's not going past 15. My issue with him is that successful NFL quarterbacks are either one of two things: ridiculously athletic and just would have succeeded anywhere, like a Kyler Murray. He went to Oklahoma, but it's like he's just a different kind of person. And the second thing is overcoming adversity in college. And Mac Jones is neither of those two things.
So that's your Tom Brady category right there.
Well, it's basically everyone. You have guys like Kyler Murray, like I said, or Tua that were like.
But Kyler
What about
Murray's
the Burrow argument though too? Like,
Burrow's not that. I mean,
it's
Burrow. I guess he's an
difference
athlete,
is, like,
but he's not super
some of
athletic.
these guys are just like undeniable athletes, right? And those guys are going to be successful. But everyone else goes through some kind of adversity. It's like the successful NFL quarterbacks. So it's like Aaron Rodgers went to junior college and then he went to Cal. Russell Wilson had to transfer. That kind of stuff. Like, you have to go through it. And we got into Joe Burrow because I was talking about Mac Jones, like, playing in the best system. He's thrown to the Heisman Trophy winner, all this. And someone brought up Joe Burrow, which would be a good point, except for that he started at Ohio State, was pretty bad, transferred to LSU, and was still pretty bad, and had to grind and get it. So my whole point is NFL quarterbacks don't come from being the top-rated recruit in high school and going to the best system and throwing to wide-open guys. They come from grinding, and they come from, like, going to average college teams and having to really work for it for the most part, unless they're just that guy, unless they're just different.
Huh. Now you kind of got me reeling back again. I think it's been 3 days. I've been the Matt Jones guy. I think I'm going back again.
Let's go.
Well, because it's really going to be whoever picks him up. That's why it does make sense to me with New England, because he could easily pick up the phone and call his buddy. You know what I mean? Call Saban and be like, yo, Give me the notes on them. You know what I mean? Like, shit. I bet you when they're on the clock, that's a phone call he makes right there. Hey,
that's a great point, because here's the New England situation for me too, is that I guess there's been speculation about all the quarterbacks that Bill Belichick's been calling about. I heard that. I don't know if you guys heard the same report.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's just good. That's just being good due diligence, because you always have to acquire. So when they say, but then the media could take that and be like, they're acquiring on every available QB. Of course they are. They need a QB. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we're in that part of the offseason where that's like something worth talking about. Like, oh my God, they're desperate for QB. Like, you could spin it a certain way. You know what I mean? But continue. So they've been trying to acquire about every QB.
That's what I was saying. So I mean, obviously, let's all be on the same page here that they're no way in hell going back to Cam Newton this year, right? There's just no way it's going to happen.
About that.
I think it would be smart. I think it would be smart. I think it would be smart because, I mean, think about this, bro. If Josh McDaniels' playbook is like a command center, it's a wall full of buttons, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, Cam Newton comes in there, he only got like this little section of buttons he could press. You know what I mean? Because he don't know how this whole vast, other ins and outs of the system. You know what I mean? Comes in with this type of offseason, gets signed, like a couple months before the season started, right? You know what I mean? No OTAs, little bit of training camp, you know what I'm saying? Then, no preseason, so on the field, learning on the fly while you in a Josh McDaniels system that's apparently quite complex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think year 2 would be good for him, and it won't be expensive for New England.
Problem with me and Cam Newton is that we saw he can't really throw the ball.
No, he can't. There was something going. He was like, it looked like he was skipping rocks sometimes.
Oh my God, his motion is so odd, and I always something about me, and Seth, I think he knows. I always just relate it back to the Saints because I know the Saints so well, right? But I just compare everything to the Saints. So I mean, you can say what you want about Drew Brees, but he still has a great motion. He still is accurate as hell, and he still knows how to throw the ball. Cam Newton is such watching Cam Newton. Of course, he can throw deep, but all of his passes were so. Whenever I watched the Pats game, which was very rare, because the Pats were horrible, and I hate the fucking Pats.
Hey, how happy are you, though?
I was just like, what the hell? His emotion looks
Joe was running
so
around
bad.
talking shit all year,
He's not accurate enough to throw interceptions, bro.
His
throws were so far off that even the defenders couldn't get to them. Like, that's how terrible this guy is.
So bad.
Yeah, he was. I mean, yeah, it was bad. You know what I mean? Like, I was starting deep. I was like streaming defenses against him. That's how bad it was.
Literally,
Yeah.
and it was that bad. And also, he's not as athletic as he was when he was an MVP. So what does he actually bring to the table?
Yeah,
I mean, here's what I think. When they played, and there was times that it got in the rhythm, but it was always on the ground. There were, and the short passing game, right? Like, and one thing that New England was their offense. They led the league in least plays ran, because they would just drag out plays. They dragged out series. You know what I'm saying? And because they were just running the ball heavy as fuck. You know what I mean? And when you got down there though into the red zone, you knew this Cam Newton rush was coming. You knew it was coming.
You knew it.
You know what I mean? They had no problems running the ball, but once they got down there, defenses would just tighten up because you didn't need to worry about the outside threats. He's not going to get the ball up to them. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, it was. And I don't know. I've never really been a Cam defender either. But I will say this, though, in his defense, maybe it's him, just coming off the type of surgeries and everything he did, and not, maybe the conditioning with. I mean, I don't know. He came back really slim. He looked like rookie Cam Newton, as far as his build. You know what I mean? But he played like old Cam Newton, like an old Cam Newton. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so how about the Falcons? You think the Falcons are going QB here? I mean, I know they're still gonna stick with Matt Ryan, but you think they go for their heir apparent?
They haven't really picked, right? They haven't
If
really
they're smart.
picked.
Yeah,
I think they
fourth
go
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they draft the QB there and let him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year, and then Matt Ryan's gone.
I think it'll be Zach Wilson.
That's what I'm hearing a lot too. I'm also hearing like my Niners trading up to that fourth spot. You know what I mean? To get Zach Wilson, and so I'm wondering if the Falcons are putting out information that they're interested in Zach Wilson. That way we'll bite on it and trade up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we was sending guys to scout Zach Wilson throughout the season. You know what I mean? The Niners were. And so that's why you hear Zach Wilson rumors with the Jets also, because Mike LaFleur came over there with Robert Saleh. And, so he was obviously a Shanahan disciple. He knows we were looking at Zach Wilson all year. You know what I mean? So, and I think Zach Wilson too, man, like, he's really got to get with a coach like a Shanahan or like maybe an Arthur Smith would be great. You know what I mean? Because Arthur Smith is there in Atlanta because we've seen how he turned Tannehill around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's going to be important for a guy like Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson had a phenomenal year last year. And it's like if he didn't have a year like he did last year, he's a second rounder. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Like, I mean, like Joe Burrow.
It's just tough for me. The Falcons are definitely such a sticky situation because you still have like talent on that offense with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. The problem is just they're getting old.
Yeah.
And they don't have a good enough team to make a run right now. So they're in such a weird situation.
Yeah, they really like if I'm them, I would trade out and hopefully it's with my Niners because they need more picks. They need a build. You know what I mean?
I think at this point you trade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones to a contending team.
Matt Ryan though, like they gotta be guys that are willing to restructure because they're at the top of their positions in pay. You know what I mean? Like these guys they got a big contract, both of them. So I think that's the problem. Remember all the rumors before the last trade deadline? Those guys were gonna be on the move, but they didn't move anywhere because ain't nobody want to take those contracts. You know what I mean? Like, if Frank Reich is not over there in Indy, Carson Wentz doesn't get traded. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No question.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What was your guys' initial reaction on that?
I like
Seth
it.
called it. Seth called it.
I did call it.
Yeah,
I don't want to brag or anything, but I did predict that one.
See, it's early on, even before this became a thing, I assumed that they were going to make a run for Carson Wentz because of the Frank Reich correlation. So I thought that was a no-brainer. But, like, the Goff and Stafford trade, that one threw me off. I was like,
yeah,
whoa.
that was crazy.
I was like, they really
I think
did it.
the NFL's coming to a point where you got to capitalize, like, on your window, Yeah. So when you've got, like, the Rams and Colts both basically were only missing quarterbacks. If they had better quarterbacks, you could have seen them in the championship games. So I think you have to give up what you need to get in order to get that quarterback, and both of them did that. And so you could say maybe they both overpaid. We'll see how it turns out a couple years down the line. But when you get your guy, I'm never going to hate on it.
I do respect what the Rams are doing because in hindsight, they already did something similar with Jalen Ramsey. When they traded for him, they gave up 2 first-round picks. People were like, oh, no, they overpaid because then they had to give him a contract, all that shit, right? But 2 years pass, and if they were to draft any cornerback, say they drafted 2 cornerbacks with those first-round picks, those guys aren't Jalen Ramsey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get rid of Jared Goff with that shit contract, right, and along with some first-round picks, to bring over a Stafford, you know that their window is now. You know what I mean? And Stafford was crazy, bros. He just turned 33. So he's not even, while everyone's talking about Russell Wilson being like this, this game changer, if he goes to another team, he's going to turn the team around. No one's really thinking that with Stafford just because he came from Detroit losing for so long. You know what I mean? That people aren't really looking, they're not seeing through the trees. They're not seeing the forest through the trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, in my opinion, Rams have proven to be a win-now team.
Yeah.
So I think Stafford going into that situation wanting to win so badly. Like, that's just what he wants. He wants to win. And I think it's a great situation for him because he has Robert Woods. He has Cooper Kupp. He has a great up-and-coming running back, Cam Akers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
A solid offensive line. One of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay. Sean McVay is going to be one of the best coaches ever, probably. He's so young. So this is a great situation for him. And he will prove to be even a better quarterback than he was in Detroit just because he can win now. Right?
I think statistically he won't be like he was in Detroit, but he'll be better for reality.
Statistically, probably not. You're right, just because he had to air out everything because his defense was so bad.
Yeah,
you're right,
and that's not a bad thing.
But also, wins are a big stat too.
Yeah.
So it's,
the only stat that matters, to be honest.
So that's part of it too. Like maybe statistically, personal statistics, he won't be as good just because he won't have to air it out. But I mean, he doesn't really care about that, and most quarterbacks don't really actually care about, I think, personal statistics because they just want to win. Like they want to be in a place to win. They want to be in big games, and then everything else would do his job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the Rams are doing something very interesting, and I think it's potentially starting to change the NFL a little bit, where they're actually valuing draft picks correctly. Like everyone overvalues their draft picks, and they said, well, maybe 50% of these are going to pan out.
If that.
So if we're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, what value does this have to us if we're picking in the 20s? And I think that's super smart, and that's what the Colts did to get Wentz, I think. And I think a lot of smart teams are going to start doing that. And it's kind of, in like a low-key way, changing the NFL a little bit.
And, I mean, I dig what you say by smart teams, but also, like, the ready teams. You know what I mean? Like, the Rams are ready to win now. The Colts are ready to win now. And all they were, in their opinion, was a quarterback away from it. So they went and got their guys. You know what I mean? The Saints, to be honest, they're built on every level in every facet of the game. And then same situation. Now it's just the QB. That's the only.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The Saints have been a win-now team, but that's why our cap space is so bad because it's just like cap space doesn't really matter if you want to win right now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
They'll pay.
We've been in this position with bad cap space for the past 4 years.
They'll pay the luxury tax,
and maybe they would have won if it wasn't for the Vikings. So who knows?
Well, that's not even it. They would have won. They probably would have. I think that it was the 2018 season that we had the best roster.
That's why he was saying he hates Kirk Cousins.
Well, no, but that's not even it. Like
that.
We just played bad those games. I think honestly, 2018, the season, the no call was the best best on roster paper since we won the Super Bowl. Like that was the year that we would have beat the Pats. That was the year. I'm telling you right now, that was the year.
Yeah, I remember when my Niners lost the NFC Championship to Seattle, right? Because we were trying to get back to the Super Bowl. And I remember like one of my boys, he was just like, "That's it." And I was like, "No," I was like, "Don't trip, we're good." He's like, "Nah, bro." He's like, "The window was now." He's like, "We're gonna have guys leaving because we can't pay them." He's like, "This team, that's it." He's like, "This is the best team we have right now." He's like, and he's like, "It's gonna be a while," and he was right. It took fucking 7 years to get relevant again. You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it can happen in the NFL. Like quick turnarounds. That's why Sean McVay's the fucking man. What a turnaround!
Sean McVay is the fucking man.
What a fucking turnaround, bro. You know what I'm saying? But check this out. You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the NFC Championship, Saints versus Niners, and it's the and it's Jameis Winston led Saints versus the Sam Darnold led 49ers.
I'm telling you right now.
That's the worst quarterback matchup.
And the winner.
I'm telling you right now. Both are scot-free. I'm telling you right now. Jameis Winston is going to shock the fucking world, and you are going to watch it. And Seth Asher, you sit back on your chair. And you watch Jameis Winston shock the world. Okay?
Hey, it gets even better. The winner of the NFC Championship game is going to play the New England Patriots, led by Gardner Minshew in the Super Bowl. Let's go.
Let's go.
We thought we saw it all. We thought we saw it all in 2020. Hold on your seats, Playmakers. We're not done yet. This is, you know what I'm saying? And then what is this? We're in March basically now. So we're in the 15th month of 2020 because this thing it's going to get crazier. You know what I mean? It's 2020 forever. I'm telling you.
March is the best month. I'm so excited for March. I'm ready.
Oh, he just wants to gamble on March Madness.
I'm a big March
That's
Madness
about.
guy, but also like free agent is gonna start. Free agency is gonna start, and like free agency is gonna be so crazy this year.
Yeah.
Like there are so many speculations of what's gonna happen, and we're just literally waiting until it opens. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying, and that's another thing too. Like, you know, they're like there's teams like that need receiver, bro. There's so many wide receiver free agents. It's ridiculous this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, there's so much going on. Like I always thought that last year was probably one of the craziest off seasons, but I think this year will top it. I honestly do. It already has. It already not has, but it already is shaping up to be a crazy offseason with these two huge quarterback trades and Deshaun Watson one now. You know,
the number 1 and number 2 draft pickup, the number 1 and 2 draft picks in 2016 aren't with their teams anymore, right? The number 1 and 2, so that's Goff and Wentz, and then the number 1 and 2 in 2015. They don't even have starting jobs yet. You know what I mean? And that's Mariota and Winston. So it's kind of crazy. Like it's the not for long league for real though. So mad respect to the QBs that actually stay in their situation. You know what I mean? Because we've seen now the organizations these days, they don't have too much patience anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
no, definitely not. And I don't blame them. Like the amount of money that's going into these teams, like especially if they're a win now team. They don't want to waste money on quarterbacks that won't be able to win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's such a tough situation with the Saints.
Well,
too,
and
just
when you look at Wentz and Goff, that's the story of why you should not overpay your quarterback. That's what happened.
Don't extend them too early.
And Kirk.
What about him?
Kirk's
what
the
does he
smartest.
have to do with it?
Kirk is the
I
smartest.
think it's the same situation. I think they're
He's
all
got
just
nothing to do with it, bro. That's a totally different thing. What are
I
you
get
talking
it,
about?
but no, what I'm saying is it's just like Wentz, Goff. I think they're all just like that like category of just mediocre QBs. Like
Bro,
Kirk
hold
fits in
on.
that.
Carson,
You can't even tell me I'm biased.
Carson got
it's
skills, bro. Carson got
the
skills.
situations are different, but
Kirk Cousins
whatever.
is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Like, and you know what? Kirk Cousins is smart, bro. His age, or maybe it's his agent, because Kirk Cousins, after next year, he's gonna get a bag and another team. Watch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
And
He's like
the
the
same
highest
money.
paid player in the league in the
And it's
last
the
4
stupidest
years
thing
or
ever.
something
Like that's
that.
what I'm saying. That's why it's the dumbest thing because Kirk Cousins is one of the highest paid QBs in the NFL. But it's Kirk Cousins. Are you fucking with me? Like they were a horrible team this year. They won games like barely out of the skin of their teeth. Like
You know what's
and
crazy?
to bring it back to
Kirk
where
Cousins
we
got-
started with Dak.
Kirk Cousins got
Like-
more playoff wins than Stafford. You know what I mean?
Like, are the Cowboys going to overpay Dak Prescott? You know?
Kirk Cousins has as many playoff wins as Prescott. You know what I mean? See, okay, let's get to that before we close this thing out.
all right.
Why the fuck aren't the Cowboys paying him?
That's a good question. And here's what I think is that I think they're going to pay him now because
After
he
he's
would
broken?
have had one of his best season ever. He would have had this past year if he didn't get hurt. He was looking up. Like,
He was on pace to throw for 6,000 yards.
and it literally showed because once he went out, that team was horrendous with Andy Dalton. So if they don't pay him this year, they're dumb. But here's why they probably haven't paid him is because Jared Jones is the stupidest man in sports. That's why, and that's why we know his name, right?
Good
Like,
answer.
Tell me the owner of the Detroit Lions. Tell me the owner of just some random ass team. You can't because they're all irrelevant. Jerry Jones is one of the faces of the NFL. You know how dumb he is. He's so dumb.
Yeah,
So
he's
dumb.
an idiot.
He's so dumb. Like I'm gonna repeat myself. He is fucking dumb. So that's why everyone knows him, and because he's just so stupid. Like that's why they haven't signed Dak Prescott, and that's why they gave Zeke
That's
like,
it. That's
their entire wallet.
we're ending the show now. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. Like
There's nothing more can be spoken. That's the most truth I've ever heard. He's just dumb. He's just stupid.
nothing else can be said. Like you're just dumb.
I love that. Hey, fellas, man, it was a great time bringing you guys back. You know what I mean? We're gonna do this more, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was great. Bogart, we got to have you on our show this week.
Just let me know, man. Let me know, and I'm there.
Thanks so much for having us on. It was great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
For sure, man. Before you guys cut out of here, go ahead and let them know one more time where they can find y'all. You know what I'm saying? And but I will have all the links to the description of this episode.
Go ahead, Seth. Let them know.
Clowntown Sports on Instagram, on TikTok, on everything basically, and you can find the link to the show on our Instagram bio. So check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah, and Playmakers, I encourage y'all to check these dudes out, give them a follow, and make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely friends of ours. You know what I mean? Once again, great episode, man. Thank you guys for coming on. And just holler at me, and we'll definitely schedule something. I'd love to make my triumphant return to the Clowntown Sports Podcast.
Let's go, man. That'd be great.
Right.
Definitely hit you up. Hey, thanks so much again, man. Really great talking to you.
For sure.
Hey, thanks, man.
All right.